Hello, hello. Welcome to a new episode of Branding with Friends, the show where branding meets key small business topics. Here, you're going to learn tips straight from the experts on everything from social media to SEO to systems and all the things that you can do right now to power and use the power of branding to attract your ideal clients. I'm your host, branding expert Annie Franceschi of Greatest Story Creative. I help small business owners show their value and tell their story through branding. I'm also a former Disney storyteller and a professional speaker and the author of the best-selling book, Permission to Try. And today I am so excited to introduce you to one of my friends in the business world. If you struggle with marketing your business authentically, doing it on strategy, and really just generally making money from all of your efforts, you are really going to love today's episode and my guest. My guest today is the wonderful Maggie Giele. Maggie is an award-winning business and marketing strategist and certified coach. She helps fiercely driven business owners scale and grow with ease so they can do more of what they love. She's also the founder of Bosses in Europe, an online community for entrepreneurs in Europe, and hosts international events and retreats. Maggie was born in Prague, grew up in the US and Singapore, and now lives in Amsterdam with her husband and her super cute Aussie Doodle pup, Frodo. Maggie, welcome to Branding with Friends.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Of course, now today we're talking about one of the things that's in your wheelhouse, which is authentic marketing. It's one of the things I really admire about what you do. You do a great job of authentically marketing yourself, but also teaching others how to do it, of course, with business strategy in mind as well. I know you're going to be sharing some top 3 tips about authentic marketing with our small business owners today, how they can smartly do it. We're going to share the first 2 as we go, as you know, but make sure to watch to the end of the episode because Maggie will be sharing her 3rd tip right at the end. So we want to make sure you get all of those.
And it's a good one.
It's a good one, I'm sure. So as we're thinking about that first tip, that first thing we can do, why don't you tell us just a little bit more about your passion for specifically authentic marketing and sort of how you came to that in the first place?
Sure. Well, my background is that I have a master's of science in marketing strategy. So it's something like I genuinely love marketing. A lot of people don't. A lot of my clients are like, if they never had to touch or hear the word marketing ever again, they will like die happy. I actually genuinely like and enjoy marketing. But the thing is that when I started my business, I went straight from my master's into freelancing because we had just moved to a new country, new language. This is Germany. And I speak very bad German, definitely not enough to like get a job in marketing in Germany.
Sure.
And I freelanced for a while. I learned how to code websites. I discovered this whole world of online, which I didn't know existed. And I started getting marketing clients. But here's the caveat. The first year and a half I was in business, the clients I got were through relationships I built, through networking, through referrals, through people who knew me, not through my own marketing.
Right.
That kind of sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a marketing specialist whose marketing is not working. What is wrong? Yeah. And I went into a downward spiral. I was really, I felt like a failure. I felt it was really frustrating. And I ended up in hospital, diagnosed with stress because I got so dizzy, I couldn't walk anymore. And it was just like, yeah, you're stressed. I'm like, this is such BS. I'm not stressed. I'm just busy just because I'm an entrepreneur. Oh, okay, fine, fair enough. And it took me 5 months to recover. So I guess they were right.
Yeah.
And things changed because this was basically the pre-stage of burnout that I was in. And 9 months after being in the hospital, I was booked out with clients for the first time. And part of the reason I got booked out when the thing I was doing had not changed at all was because I started marketing myself authentically. I started tapping into what makes me, what makes me go beyond just another strategist, because you don't stand out that way. If you're in branding, like you don't want people comparing you to a different branding expert, or I don't want people comparing me to a different business strategist or coach. I want them to want me. Like I am the only option. And that's what I started doing.
I love it. Are you familiar with Dorie Clark at all?
No.
So Dorie Clark, she's actually a professor here in North Carolina. She teaches at the Duke School of Business, but she is also, I think, a best-selling author, and she's written a couple books, one of which is called Entrepreneurial You. And something you just said really reminded me of a quote I read about a year ago, sitting in Hawaii, taking a break from my business. And the quote was, you want to get to a place where people pay you for who you are, not what you do.
Yeah.
or some version of that, right? And I think you just so
Goosebumps.
eloquently said it. You want people to hire Maggie, not to, or want to work specifically with you, not, I'm weighing 10 different other coaches and,
I mean, you can. And if you're considering hiring, I ironically encourage you to go have those conversations with other coaches, strategists, insert blank here. But at the end of the day, if you get yourself in that position with your marketing and your branding and positioning, that other people are weighing you versus 5 other people who do the same thing, it gets dangerously close to price competition.
Yes.
That's when you get people saying like, hey, this other copywriter, photographer, whatever, offered me it for X amount. Can you give me a discount?
Yeah,
no.
Let's call that the race to the bottom, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the answer should be no, because I'm amazing and you know it and you should want me. That's the ideal answer.
Exactly. And it seems like you've really, we've known each other for a couple of years at this point. I've really seen you, shift your branding. Maggie has an incredible series. You should look it up. It's called From Burnout to Booked Out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Burnout to, I remember that. See, like we didn't even talk about this before, but I remember that, and it's so signature to who you are. So the pivot was just being more you, if we distill it down.
Yeah.
Right? So much more to it.
Which sounds so simplistic. And it was like a good, I would want to say 5 months of intense soul searching and work and brainstorming and just frustration before I started okay, here's what I do. And as an example, there's a reason I mentioned my dog Frodo in my professional bio.
Yeah.
I did a talk last week in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam, and I introduced myself and I said, and my dog Frodo, and half the audience went, "Oh, Frodo." And those are the ones who know Lord of the Rings. Those are the ones who know their fantasy. And that immediately changes my positioning and their perspective.
Absolutely. And so much of what you've done to rework the Maggie Giele brand really ties into magic and unlock your magic and all of these pieces that tie into fantasy, which is a personal interest of yours, but really does relate to the magic of marketing. So
it does.
I love it, but we shouldn't keep people waiting for your best tip, which I think is very much related to this. So with authentic marketing being something you really do so well, what is the first thing that small business owners need to know about it?
I think it really comes down to I'm going to switch these around because this is going to be the first one.
Sure.
It really comes down to your strengths. What makes you unique and what are you good at? For a long time in what I do, a lot of coaches told me I really need to niche down and just do launch strategy or just do content strategy. And I didn't. Maybe I would have gotten more clients faster if I had specialized, but I really didn't want to, because what I am really good at is the big picture. It is pulling all these puzzle pieces together, and that is my strength, and being able to tap into that. And this links to your marketing as well. I know I like talking to people. I am much better at spending 15 minutes doing something about my face and then spending an hour doing an interview or doing a video or recording something than writing a blog post, because that would take me not 1 hour, but probably 5, and I would still hate it by when I was done.
Yes, I love that. I think you're such a proponent of that, and that's where I think we have so many values that align. And when it comes to my own marketing too, I don't want to do the things. It took me years to realize, you can do the things that are fun and be effective in marketing, as opposed to doing the things that you want to tear your hair out about, like blog post writing. I'm a writer, but I don't want to write blog posts either. I don't see a lot of great return on them. That's part of why I'm doing this series of Branding with Friends, because it's helping me get outside my comfort zone. It's fun. You've been doing a lot of podcasts. I know you're working on a podcast. Might even be out when this episode comes out.
Hopefully.
Exciting. So if Maggie's podcast is out, it will be linked here, of course. I'm sure it will be, and I'm sure it will be amazing to learn more from her. But this is the thing about playing to your strengths, is that people don't realize you don't have to do what everybody else does. And I think you're such a big champion of that. You live that story, and then you coach others on how to do it. So
yeah, absolutely.
So important.
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that. And it's I went, part of my burnout story was that I thought that I had to spend hours a day in Facebook groups. I thought I had to write blog posts. I was so stuck because I didn't know my branding. I didn't know what made me different or unique. So I didn't have a specialty, nothing. So I had at one point 55 unpublished blog posts because I genuinely thought they were just so crap, I couldn't publish them.
Yeah.
Then this is more recent. I went 1.5 years without publishing new blog post, and my business did not burn down, because in the meantime, I built up my Facebook group bosses in Europe. I ran about 7 international live events. I ran my mastermind twice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, in the last year, I've published 3 blog posts, and it'll be more consistent once I have the podcast, which I'm now batching because, again, I know my strengths and weaknesses. Consistency and doing something in a routine is not one of my strengths, which means I batch all the things whenever possible.
Yeah. And I think that you really are a great example of know thyself. The more you know thyself, the more you can be a better business owner and also be there for your clients. Like you said, your business didn't die, but it didn't take off really. Like the less blog posts you wrote.
Yeah, it did actually.
Right? Let's give you some credit here.
It did. And it's so ironic because that basically goes against everything you hear with basic marketing, which is Instagram and blog posts and newsletter, and that's kind of it. But I was still active on the platforms that gave me joy, like my Facebook group. I was still active on Instagram stories, not even Instagram stories. If you follow me there, you'll like photo in various positions of cuddling throughout the day and kind of what I'm up to. And it's really about playing to your strengths and avoiding your weaknesses, because at the end of the day, it's your business and you can do it whatever which way you want.
Yeah, we miss the joy in that because we think we have to do it. The should is very powerful in marketing. I think it's very powerful in branding. It's very powerful in all of these things. But, you get to be the captain of the ship, and people often cede that power. You don't do that. And I think you're such a good empowerment chief for others to teach them that. So thank you. So playing to our strengths, that is definitely a first place to start. What about the next thing? What's the next thing we should do after we're really more in touch with our strengths and we're going to align our marketing activities to feel fun so that people are engaged with us because they know we're engaged in what we're doing? Yeah,
I think having fun with your marketing is really a big one. Like when I was marketing myself as a strategist and I hated my marketing, I wasn't getting any clients from my marketing. When I started having more fun and talked about Harry Potter and my dog Frodo and I don't know, reading The Wheel of Time, any more like hardcore fantasy fans will get that, Game of Thrones type of thing. People start remembering me and noticing me and coming back to me. And I think it's really about staying focused. One like mistake I see really often is that, and I get it. Yeah, this is like without judgment. I've done it myself. But people go into their marketing and they try and do everything at the same time. But if you look at someone like Amy Porterfield or Jasmine Star or Gary Vee, like love them, admire them, but they have like literally full-time teams of people helping them with their marketing. You as a solo entrepreneur, or even like if you finally have hired your first virtual assistant, there is logistically, it is not possible for you to be able to churn out that level of marketing and content. Yeah. So it's so much better for your time management, for your energy management, for your mental health to figure out where can you get the best, what element or what platform can you focus on that does give you joy and that does connect to your ideal clients. Like, for example, if you are, let's say, a life coach and you focus on busy single moms who, have 3 kids and 2 jobs. Yeah. Do you think they will have time to watch 90-minute webinars? No. Although that may be the thing that you love doing, wrong audience. They're not going to do it. Same thing if you work with professionals who are commuting. If they're commuting to their work, audio is such a great way to reach them. And this doesn't have to be a podcast. It could be audio. I send out audio in my newsletters, like a 5-7 minute little audio clip. And I've had people message me like, oh, this was amazing. I rode my bike to work and I was able to listen to your newsletter today. So keep that element of your audience really top of mind. I love that. And I'm glad you brought that up because I just got your newsletter the other day and saw the thing and I was really interested in the topic, didn't really have time to listen to it, but I was curling my hair at the time. And so I just pressed play and it was super easy. People they think, oh, well, to do audio, I have to have a podcast. You don't have to have a podcast. You can literally just include an audio file. Like, how do you record those currently, Maggie? So I've been doing this for about 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, actually, little audio clips. I press record on my mic. Like this microphone is new. I bought it for my podcast. Before that, like whatever mic I was using, sometimes on my phone, sometimes just with my built-in laptop microphone, press record in just the voice recorder on my laptop. And I would press attach file. That's it. And it was anywhere between 1 and I think my longest ever was maybe 7.5 minutes or something. You are very concise. You're much more concise than I am. Well, I don't think it's about being concise. I think it's, for me, because I'm not concise, I talk a lot. It's about knowing my audience. I know I can ramble on about a topic, but they're going to stop paying attention.
Yeah.
So I know that I have to be, even with audio, I have to keep it quick and simple and just get to the point. Here's the info. Here's how to apply it. See you next week.
Yeah. And I think you make a lot of excellent points, and it's great to start at a place of like, playing to your strengths, but then also being strategic. So what I see that as is like the fun into the strategy, right? Because it has to go through a strategic filter. So if it's fun to you, but it's not going to reach your audience, what is the point of doing it?
Exactly.
Right.
But there are ways like this of combining it, of, maybe your audience doesn't have time to listen to hour-long podcast interviews, but you love audio. Great. Can you make like super quick mini, like 3-minute audio clips, batch them all, and you have content for the next 6 months?
Yeah. Yeah, we all think that we have to be doing all this stuff. And going back to what you were saying about you had these unpublished blog posts, I was in a phase for a couple of years where I was writing an hour a week. I was writing these like very powerful essays about branding that I'm still really proud of and I think had good engagement. But because I looked every year, like where were my clients coming from? They just weren't coming from the newsletter to justify the 50 hours a year I was spending on it. And so I have over time spent less and less time on my, say, newsletter email marketing, but actually the business has grown and grown and grown.
Yeah.
It's freed me up to focus on the things that I find fun that are also strategic, because I think that my audience, for whatever reason, maybe the newsletter thing isn't as connecting as what I do with in-person workshops and things like that. Right. So one of the things that I have also come to realize, and that was when I was saying that sort of fun into strategy, is I used to do it the opposite, where I'd be like, what's the strategic thing to do? How do I make it fun? And I've since reversed that. So I start with what sounds inherently fun. It sounds like you have too, where you start with like, where's the joy for you? Because you have to get up every day and do this work because it is work. And then where does it fit strategically or does it?
I did that this year with probably actually last year. And this is probably the thing that has had the biggest impact on my business growth, because like things have really taken off, like even more than they were in the last year and a half. And that was with my events. And that was not a strategic decision. I was just like, I want to hang out with more people in person. Yeah. That was it. And my first event, my very first one was a meetup, a free meetup in London. We had 22 people turn up. Someone flew in from Dublin just for that meetup. Like it was, people got up at 5 a.m. driving from Cardiff, which was amazing. Then I was like, okay, people are interested. Cool. So the next thing I did was a $50 workshop in my living room. Like I had enough chairs for the attendees, but I didn't have one for myself. So my foot cramped by the end of the day. And I had to like literally just fell on the floor. But at less than 2 years after that $50 workshop, I hosted an invite-only, curated, high-level retreat in Tuscany in Italy for entrepreneurs literally making millions. And I was there. I'm just like, am I literally hosting a retreat for like Amber McHugh? And okay, try not to panic. And that's been like something that's completely changed how I run my business. Next year, 2020, I'm running 4 retreats, one in Florida, which is going to be really, really exciting. And it started from, here's the thing I want to do because it's going to be fun and I'm excited about it. And I've realized that so much of my business growth and success and opportunities have come from things that I was like, I just want to do this thing because it's going to be fun.
Yes, we are here to tell you guys that you can have fun in your marketing. Like start with the fun, and then put it through the strategy funnel. Yeah, right? Because Maggie's a great partner for figuring that out.
Yeah, because if you hate your marketing, which I did at one point, what do you think everyone else reading it is going to feel?
Correct.
And the moment I start talking about dragons and unicorns and like Harry, like if you sign up for my mastermind, you get like a little GIF in your welcome email that says like, you're a wizard, Annie. Things like that. And that makes me have a lot more fun with it as well.
If I can tell you a confession is I definitely Googled Amsterdam tickets when you were hosting a retreat within the past year. Cause I was like, I need to do this. And your marketing is very compelling. And the more you've developed and gotten into that strategy and shared your story, how you help clients and being their guide, it's pulled me like a magnet to you, even though I'm here in the States and you're in Amsterdam. One day we'll meet. But But, thinking about branding and, you do such a great job of translating your branding into your marketing. When you work with clients and they come to you for the business coaching, for the strategy, the authentic marketing piece, how important do you think them having a brand, and to the extent they need to have a brand, is to their success with you, but also just their success in growing a business? So when they come to you, how branded do you want them to be?
For me, I don't need to have them very branded, but they need to have a direction in mind. So I talk a lot about having a North Star. That could be like what do you want your business to look like, to feel like? For me, like, I think all my designers hate me because I never know what something's supposed to look like. I'm like, here's the emotions I want to feel when I look at it. That's how I describe stuff. Yeah. So for me personally, I work with a lot of clients who don't really have a strong brand, but they're aware of that and they know they need to have it. So sometimes I help them work on the messaging. More often than not, at the same time as working on strategy, I send them to like a branding specialist to work alongside me, because I do a lot of work on messaging and things like that, but I don't go anywhere near as in-depth as a branding specialist could go. And yeah, like honestly, with my business and growth, I think the two key things have been the events, because that's gotten me like credibility, visibility, authority, connections, et cetera, and my branding.
Yeah.
The fact that
yeah, go ahead.
The fact that I was out and about like a random non-business related like cocktail evening, and someone came up to me and was like, are you Maggie, that Harry Potter marketing coach? I was just like, I'll take it. Yeah, cool.
Yes. That's what you want. I have a series here called Branding with Annie, and I have people come up to me at events and go, "You're Brand Annie. I know you. I can't go to your events, but I really want to." But I think one of the things you do really well with events that connects to branding that people forget, if you guys are planning events, Maggie brands every single one of her events. So there's like Scale Your Strategy Live. What is your mastermind called? It's called Unlock Your Magic, right?
I've actually just rebranded that because this is interesting for branding. So the initial name for 2 rounds was Unlock Your Magic. And I was like, it's good, but it's not quite right. And I realized why it wasn't right, because I don't help people unlock their magic. You've already unlocked your magic. I help you take it like a step or a level higher. So that kind of graded me. And now I've rebranded it to the Magic Momentum Mastermind, because it's for service-based entrepreneurs to help you scale up and step up and build up on the momentum you have already started. So I'm there like giving you a push.
And that's a great example too, I think, of showing that in branding and in marketing, you can change your game plan. You should over time, when you learn that, hey, this message is there, but it's not quite there. And you didn't let the fact that it wasn't quite there keep you from doing it in the first place.
Yeah. I knew it was good. It was close, but it wasn't quite it. And when and with this round, I rebranded that. I was like, this is what feels right. It feels like a lot stronger for me.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought. I had another point I was going to make. It'll come back to me.
It'll come back. Well, and we're coming around, and you are going to share that sort of third and final really good tip with everybody today. But before we do that, how can people who are listening to this or watching this, how can they connect with you, Maggie?
Instagram is always good. I'm there at Maggie Giele, and I'm much more active on Instagram stories than I am in the feed. But that's a great way. And if you are a Europe-based entrepreneur or freelancer, I would be more than happy to welcome you in Bosses in Europe.
Oh, yes. We hope we have lots of international listeners or people like me who would be willing to fly just to learn from Maggie. Well, that's fantastic. So definitely check out Maggie Giele. Her last name is spelled Giele, just in case you were wondering if you're listening to this. Oh, yes. And we'll have links to everything. So wherever you're watching this, you should be able to find Maggie. And she is so fun to watch. And if nothing else, follow for Frodo, because Frodo is pretty cute.
Very cute. Very cute, Annie. Very. And I remember my train of thought. So for example, with niching down your branding, I've been calling myself a business and marketing strategist. And I've been like, I work with anyone. And I generally really like working with a range of people. But only recently have I said, actually, if I could choose, I would prefer to work with service-based entrepreneurs. Yeah, I can. And I have successfully worked with product-based entrepreneurs in the past. We've had great results. But when I thought about it, I do have a preference, and it's about being clear, because now I can say, hey, I'm a service-based entrepreneur. I'm a strategist. Sorry, I'm a strategist. Yeah. And I help service-based entrepreneurs scale to get more visible and make more money.
Gosh, she doesn't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next time, if that's you or you know someone, that's such a stronger mental connection for you to say, oh, you need to talk to that person.
Yeah, and that's the power of people are afraid of niching down, but that's the power of it is you become more top of mind with people. And I've had a similar shift where I do occasionally work with product-based businesses and business owners, but where I really shine is helping with service-based. And that's what I love to do. It's so much easier when you feel like you can hit a home run for
Yeah.
somebody to take them on and to
Yeah.
do that. And that just keeps you moving so well. So I think that's such a great point. You've shared a lot with us today. We're talking about first playing to our strengths. And then secondly, of course, we want to stay focused. So be really strategic about how we do that. What is the third thing that you think is so important about authentic marketing for small business owners?
It's about high impact marketing. And this comes back to like, you don't need to have a blog. You don't need to even have a newsletter. You don't need to be on Instagram. You need to find a way, a platform, or a method of sharing your message and content with the right people. It doesn't have to be any of this status quo. And then one of the number one ways of building relationships and connections with your audience online is through video. So Annie, like what you're doing, I'm just like, yes, strategy, well done. You're collaborating. It's got video, it's got audio, it's amazing. But we're looking at like bare minimum, have like a 1-minute introduction video about yourself on your website, on your about page. Like that is the bare minimum of marketing. And as an example, like Annie here mentioned my YouTube series from Burnt Out to Booked Out. I did that over 2 years ago. I still have people, and I've not done anything new on YouTube for about 1.5 years or 2 years now. I still have people coming to me talking about that series or sharing it with their friends or email me about it. And I'm getting leads and clients 2 years later.
Yeah.
It's that longevity of those hours that I put in for YouTube. So great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something where we feel like things have to be perfect. And so we don't do them because that's the nature of human nature. And, but I think that that's such a great note to end on. So playing to our strengths and staying focused and then just being really strategic with our time too. And really not doing all that busy work and worrying so much about being a thought leader is get it done, get it out there, name the thing, even if it's not perfect, go do it. You'll learn from it. Maggie, you have so much to teach us just from your own experience, but also the work that you do with clients. And I am so glad you were here on Branding with Friends. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We hope you guys enjoyed yet another episode of Branding with Friends. So many thanks to my special guest, business coach and marketing strategist and certified coach as well, Maggie Giele. Tune in next time when we will tackle yet another topic where branding meets business. But until then, I'm Annie Franceschi of Greatest Story Creative. You can find all of our Branding with Friends episodes, more branding resources, and so much more at our website, greateststorycreative.com. Have a great one. Thanks, guys.